Hope you're doing well. In this video, we are going to talk about the questionnaires that can be used in a normal survey research. We'll be talking about the type of sections that we have in a questionnaire. Then we'll talk about some different type of questions, as in, the checkbox and all other. And then we'll talk about some do's and don'ts for the questionnaires. So let's start with the video. So first of all, what are the things that you should include in a questionnaire? So first thing first, when you are starting a questionnaire, there should be some introductory information that what this questionnaire is about. But please do not expose your research questions in your introduction. If you are planning to analyze effect of mobile phones on the academic life of the students, don't say it out loud that this questionnaire or this survey will analyze the effect of this on that. But yes, you can say that this research is about the mobile phone use among the students, so that you are giving an idea to your audience, but you're not exactly revealing that what is the independent variable and what is the dependent variable in your research. So give a little brief introduction that the research is done by a student of a particular university, or you can also say it's an academic research work and information will be kept confidential. So such kind of introductory information can be given right at the beginning of the questionnaire. Next, and very important element, consent. Now, if you are not including a consent related area in your questionnaire, you would not qualify for ethical, you could say, you can't say that, ethical concerns were taken care of in this survey. So how to cover that area? Either ask a little question that do you agree to participate in this research, and if they say yes, they will move into the research, and if they say no, they will be taken out of the questionnaire. Or you can say that by answering any of the questions below, you would agree to take part in the research. So either of these techniques would cover you on the consent. So this is what you can do at the beginning of your questionnaire, and that is what we call research respondents' consent. Then you also need to have some screening questions, because you cannot say that anybody can take part in my research. Definitely, if you're doing a research, it is related to certain type of people. It can be related to their demographics, it can be related to their habits, it can be related to their work life or something. So maybe some of the sample questions that you can see here, like, are you a resident of USA? Do you play the video games regularly? Like, if your research is about the mobile games, maybe you would only want to have people who play the video games on the mobile. Otherwise, if they don't play the video games, you won't want to have them. Do you watch the video games videos? Maybe something like that. Or has your organization implemented green HRM practices? If you are working on HRM practices survey, you would want to have professionals that are working in that industry. Anyone who's not in such kind of an industry would not qualify to be part of your research. So such kind of research questions would ensure that you are only collecting data from the relevant people. And it's a must that you have screening questions if you're going for purposive sampling technique, because one of the biggest element in the purposive sampling technique is that you're only selecting people with certain particular criteria. So this is where the criteria is defined. Then you can have certain profiling questions. What does it mean by profiling questions? That you can have certain demographic elements that you would be taking information on, or there can be certain behavioral information that you might want to collect from your respondent. Now, these would be, geared according to the requirements of your question. If it's a consumer-based questionnaire, you would want to know the gender, age, income, residence, or such and such information about your customer. But if it is related to certain managers and office workers, you might would want to know, how long they have been in the job, or what kind of industry are they working in, and stuff like that. And same goes for the behavioral information, about their practices, about what they do, what they like, and all such things, they go into the behavioral information. generally speaking, this just creates a profile of the sample. We sometimes use one of these variables as a moderator or control variable in the research, but most of the time these questions are used to profile, to paint a picture of what kind of people participated in the research. So what does it mean by a scale measurement? All the constructs that you have in your research, they are included here. For example, if you have a construct of purchase intention in your questionnaire, so all the questions that are related to purchase intention are your questions related to your measurement scale of purchase intention. So if you have whatever number of items you have, you would have them, and that would make up this part. And this is the longest part of your questionnaire, and it should be the longest one. So these are the components within the questionnaire. Now let's move into the type of responses that you are collecting in your question. Some of the questions that you have are yes, no, like, you would just have two options for them, yes or no. Like, do you play the games? Do you have a pet? Or do you watch the serials? Then there can be Likert scale questions, like what I have here, as in I intend to buy from store X. Now there can be 5-point Likert scale, like I have over here, starting from strongly disagree and moving on to the strongly disagree. Or there can be even 7-point or 9-point Likert scale, where you have different degrees of disagreement and agreement in your response anchors. These options that we have here, like strongly disagree, disagree, neither disagree nor agree, these are called response anchors. So there can be 5 to 9 response anchors usually, and most commonly 5 is advocated most, and there are several references which say that the questions or the scales with the 5 response anchors or 5-point Likert scale are more reliable as compared to the other point, like 7-point or 9-point Likert scale. Now, there can be certain questions that you might have as checkbox responses as well, where you are not you're not targeting for one response, but you want them to answer, as in give you more than one response. For example, if I ask a respondent that what type of mobile games do you play, that person might give me a response as an action, arcade, or puzzle, racing, and other options as well, like maybe 2 or 3 types that this person would like, as compared to this one where I would just want one response in an answer to the question that I have on the top. Now, last but not the least, there can be short answer questions as well, where I want them to give me a short description or short answer. Sometimes you want some descriptive information from your respondent, and later on we analyze them through a content analysis, or it helps us classify the things that we have already collected. This might add a little dimension to the information that you have already collected. So short answer questions can also be there. So this is a little bit that I wanted to share with you about the type of responses that we can have from our questionnaires. Then some do's and don'ts, like what are the things that we should have in our questionnaire and what is that there shouldn't be in a questionnaire. So let's start with a few things. Do not ask any personal information, like what's your name, what is your email address, and so on. So I'm not saying that never ask this, but if you do not have any use of any such information, please don't ask this, because when you don't ask personal information, the information that's collected, it's anonymous, and it is said that anonymously people give more information and deeper insight into their behaviors and opinions as compared to when they are identifiable. Uh, Secondly, you don't need an ethical, you could say, consent if your questionnaire has anonymity. But if your questionnaire does not maintain anonymity of the respondent, then you will need to take a ethical you could say approval from some ethical body in your university or in your country. Next, use simple language. Like, don't have very difficult words in your questionnaire, especially if your respondent is a foreign language user. Like, most of the time, the questions that we have related to the scale items, they are in English language, and the local language of the people from whom you're collecting the information, they're not, their mother tongue is not English. So, try to have the words that are simple for them to understand. It's not very difficult for them to process the meaning. So try to keep the language as simple as possible. No jargons, no technical words, no abbreviations that are not known to the respondent. If you're using any kind of abbreviation or acronym, please define that. If you feel any of the words included in the question has some technical meaning or technical background, please define that word in the beginning of the questionnaire or at the beginning of the section. For example, in one of my questionnaires, I was asking about the virtual items. Now, technically, it's those things that are available free of cost, or you could say, these are those items that that help you play in the game, or these are the items within the applications that help you work within the applications, but you cannot use them outside the application. So this is what we call a virtual item. Like, you get an extra candy when you cross a particular stage, or extra coins. So all these candies and coins, they are called virtual items. But if I just put this word virtual item in one of the questionnaire, my respondent might get confused. What exactly do I mean by virtual items? So if I'm including such a word, I need to define it or describe it within the questionnaire. Next, no leading questions. What does it mean by leading? Leading question means that you are moving your respondent toward one kind of response. Like, let's say if you say that every responsible parent help their children at in the homework. So do you help your children in the homework? So you are inclining the respondent or pushing the respondent towards saying that yes, I help my children. So that's kind of a leading question. Like, if you have a look at this example that we have here, children need support at home. Do you help your children in their homework? Do you naively believe in every news that floats on the social media? Now, see the word naively. It's like telling the person that you should not believe in every news that floats on social media. So it's like a leading question. Even if this person believes in every news, they would never let you know that. They would say, no, I don't believe in everything that floats on social media. So when you have some kind of, you could say, connotative words, or you could say some intros into the question that are leading respondent toward a particular response, that's when we have a leading question. Next, it can be about the loaded questions. What does it mean by loaded questions? If you are asking a question which has a when if they answer it yes or no, they are indirectly or impliedly agreeing to a particular other response. That is when you have a loaded question. Let's have a look at the example. Do you use your car when you go out every weekend? Now, if he says no, I don't use car, but still, or if he says, now let's have a look at this example that we have here. Do you use your car when you go out every weekend? Now, there's an implied agreement to I go out every weekend, even if I say no or yes to this answer. If I say no, it would mean I don't take my car, I don't use my car when I go out every weekend. If I say yes, it would be yes, I use my car when I go out every weekend. So in either case, I'm agreeing to one thing, that I go out every weekend. Now, this is what we call a loaded question. Like, it has one element that would make me agree to some particular part, whichever way I go. Now, have you stopped misbehaving with your subordinates? If I say I have, yes, So it means I was misbehaving. If I say no, I haven't, so it means I was misbehaving and I'm still misbehaving. So whether I say yes or no, I'm agreeing to the fact that I was misbehaving with my subordinate. So this is another loaded question that we have. So make sure when you're asking your questions, they are not loaded with certain kind of implied agreements within the statements. Double barrel question, another important problem. Like, what does it mean by having a double barrel problem? Like, if your question has two questions incorporated or integrated together within one statement, it means it's a double barrel question. Do you believe that our products are high price and high quality? Now, it has two things: high price and high quality. Maybe this person feels your products are high price. They don't believe it's high quality. But if they say yes to this question, they're agreeing to both of them. Or maybe they agree to both of them, but it would not be highlighted that whether it's an agreement with one or both of them. So if you have such a situation, the easiest thing would be split these questions into two. I'll just show you how we will do this. I'm just coming out of my presentation. Just make two questions, copy paste, Control V, Control C, and remove one portion from one question and the other portion from the other question. And you have two questions made out of this. Do you believe our products are high quality, or do you believe our products are high price? So whichever agreement they would have, it would be clear after they respond to these two different questions. Sometimes my students argue that the questions from where we are adapting, the scale from where we are adapting these questions has such questions. So I would still say that please split them up. It doesn't matter when you would be running your measurement model assessment or your CFA, you would be anyways evaluating their validity, so you won't have any issue about it. So this little bit of adjustment and adaptation is allowed. Maximum space utilization, it's especially for the paper questionnaires. If you're making a paper questionnaire, try not to use a lot of papers. Try to make two columns. Try to make the responses in one line. Keep them in one line so that you know the space is not wasted. But if you're using a Google questionnaire, that's not a big issue. Just make sure that your questions are appearing properly on both the screens, whether your respondent is answering on a laptop or on a cell phone. The question appears completely and all the response anchors also appear completely to the respondent. So all in all, these are some of the characteristics, or you could say the rules that you should follow when you're making your questionnaire. Hope you have followed through all these strategies that we have discussed over here. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any future videos. See you in another video. Bye for now.